This is the hill the amphibian duck used to come racing down. I think that ride ceased to exist when someone was hit and lost their life. All right, that brings us to a potential future video. Got a subsidence here, look at that. Truth be told, this is my first time being on this road. So we're doing it together for the first time. Oh, you know what? I'm noticing something in the woods over here, off to my left. Rode by it before, I didn't even see it. It is too gorgeous of a day out today not to get out and do some exploring. I have 3 locations in mind that I want to revisit to see how they're looking in 2026. And it is muddy here. One of them is a lost, forgotten road. The other one is a section of intact, abandoned railroad tracks. And the third is this place right here, an abandoned amusement park. If you're ready for an adventure, you know what to do. Just come along with me. So here we are at the former amusement park known as Rocky Glen Park. You can see one of the old signs is still here. This is the upper parking lot. Now, if you're not familiar with this place, I have an entire playlist documenting this over the years. I encourage you to watch it. Where in those videos, you'll learn a lot more details, see photos of what it used to look like, and learn a lot more from someone who is really knowledgeable and able to help me document this place over the years. So check out Rocky Glen playlist if you want more information. But basically, it's a small amusement park. It closed in 1987. And the rides were auctioned off in 1988. And there's a lot of rumors and speculation as to what was going to happen with this place. Long story short, nothing really has happened except the lake was drained. And it's been put on the market last year for $14 million. But with no potential buyers, the price was now dropped to $5 million. So we're going to take a ride around a few areas of the park. We're going to go down by the beach and lake area, go where some of the rides used to be, and then we'll enter into the lower lot and dam area that will connect us to the abandoned railroad. Now, although this place has been abandoned for just under 40 years, there's still very much to see if you know where to look. There's no rides, there's no buildings left, but there's plenty of foundations, plenty of walkways, stairs, and beautiful stonework. Like right here, we got foundation of a cabin, stone steps leading up to it. This was like a picnic grove area. There's another foundation right here to our right. And further back, there was a miniature train ride. They used to take guests around the upper area. There's multiple train rides over the different decades and different owners. But there definitely was one up here that we documented in one of the videos. If you look down, you can see some of the brick concrete. We'd be inside of a building right now. So, not everything is gone, but things are definitely not what they used to be. Stone wall on the left-hand side. And the best hope for this park that we've had ever since it became abandoned, and especially since it's been put on the market, is to turn into a public park, to have walking trails, historical plaques stating what used to be located where, picnic tables, fishing, maybe even some canoeing in the lake. And look at this staircase right here. That goes right up to where we came from, the picnic area, but gorgeous stone staircase connecting the upper and lower level. This is the beach area known as Sandy Beach for obvious reasons. And the lake that you see, well, the lake is considerably lower than what it used to be. Water used to come up right in front of us here. They did lower it when they were going to do some dam remediation, which I don't think they've ever done. But the lake has never filled up since. But it is higher than it's been previous visits. Some geese are calling it home today, but this was the place to be after the park closed for fishing and swimming, especially swimming. There were some huge parties here over the years. I came here swimming as long as I can remember. I brought Lily here swimming, and that was when the lake was at capacity. But the water is always like bath water. It is spring fed from a farther away source, which we have documented. So it's always really clean, clear water. The deepest area when it was at capacity was around 20-25 feet. And even then you could see right to the bottom. I actually snorkeled part of this lake too for one of my videos. Really fascinating. I love this place. There used to be a lot more here, obviously, than what we see, but there used to be water skiing shows on the lake. A river boat ride would take you around it like a paddle boat. There's also an amphibian duck that would come flying down the hill, splash into the water, drive around and come out. I mean, this was one heck of a park. This big concrete pad was a big building at one time, served multiple purposes, had a big arcade, it had a music venue inside, a stage for shows, and it was right at the water's edge. And at one time this was known as Ghost Town in the Glen. There was an old western town here where they had the gunfighters doing the shootouts, pretending to rob the bank. And there was an incredible building called the Swiss Cottage right here on the corner, all built out of stone. And a lot of musicians who played here before they became big used to stay on site in the Swiss Cottage, which was right here. But Meatloaf played here, Bon Jovi, and many others like that. I don't know offhand, but some well-known artists who became really big after playing at small venues like this. This is the hill the amphibian duck used to come racing down and splash into the water. I think that ride ceased to exist when someone was hit and lost their life. Now once we crest the hill up here, off to the left would have been bumper cars, I believe. There was a Ferris wheel somewhere in the middle over here. There was a sky ride. The Mighty Jet coaster was straight ahead of us over here, which was one of many coasters, but the one that people know the most because it was the only one operating pretty much when the park closed. Parts of the coaster actually demolished right here off to our right. This was Games Row on the right-hand side with all your typical carnival games. This would also be the main entrance and main lot off to our right, which would be parking area. The entrance gate would have like a castle-like design right over here to our right. So this is the main lot. The upper lot where we started is up there to our right. Directly in front of us, you can see a little pool area. This was for the boat ride. The little boats would go around, connected to an arm. They weren't floating, they were just in water though. There's still rides like that in existence for traveling carnivals. Even Knoebels has one, but it's a little miniature boat ride. Just went in a circle in the water, and that's how that used to be right there. Some more steps and stonework here. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the park office was right here, right on this foundation. But they really made this park beautiful with stonework, even some fountains, I believe. But they had, I think, nickel days. They had specialty days with certain churches or organizations. If you look straight ahead, you see a giant concrete block. That was one of the turnaround points for the sky ride. Would have went directly overhead of us. Now, if you're not familiar with this park, you may be wondering, why did it close? Like, what happened to it? Well, there's a number of reasons why it closed. One of the main ones was lack of growth and expansion. They didn't have any new rides in many years. And if they did, they were purchasing traveling carnival rides and bringing them here, which obviously you could find those rides anywhere. So they had no new rides coming in. They had rising insurance costs, and they had other parks coming up like Six Flags and larger theme parks that just Rocky Lane couldn't compete. So this place, along with like Hanson's, Angela Park, many others, just couldn't compete with the increase of prices and lack of new state-of-the-art rides. This area right here to our right would have been the antique car ride. Knoebels purchased this ride, and as far as I know, today, 2026, Knoebels doesn't have any operating antique cars from Knoebels. They do have one on display that you could take pictures in. That's an original Rocky Glen antique car. All the ones that you drive there today are reproductions that are much newer but look original. But all through here was the metal track that the cars rode on. There's a nice scenic area here, and allowed you to drive your very own antique car right here at Rocky Glen Park. And this is bringing us down to the lower lot. So they have 3 parking lot areas, and right down here it's a barren landscape. They have occasionally used this lot here and even the upper lot for some concert overflow parking when they had big festivals up in Montage, but that hasn't happened in a few years. Now here's the dam area. You can see the water is down significantly lower. Typically it would be at the top of the spillway. Actually, I could show you that. Let's go over there now. Yeah, so here's the spillway right here. Water would be right where we are. We'd be under water as deep as the handlebars right now, but that's how low it is today. But I snorkeled from the main part of the lake through the outlet connection area, through here, and right up to the spillway here. And when they drained this lake, myself and Andy, who's the admin for Rocky Glen Memories Facebook group, came here just days after it was drained, and we found some old rides that were submerged. There was a pretzel car, like a whip car, I believe a bumper car chassis, maybe even a coaster chassis, but there was a lot of things submerged, and people came here metal detecting as well, finding coins and other things from the park days. I've even found a few railroad spikes, miniature ones from the small gauge railroad that came down here. It ran by the lake, so this was a sight that none of us have really ever seen when they lowered the lake. Off to the left is the spillway. Give the bike a little wash here. Now right up here, we're exiting the park and entering our second location, an abandoned railroad. Can you guess which one it is? Well, I'm sure many of you do know because I actually documented it on foot in, I believe, a 5-part series. And the tracks are still here today. This is the old Erie Railroad. Later would have been Erie Lackawanna. Last in service in this area, I think the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken. I've walked this particular line all the way from the 380 bridges near Dunmore to this park here in multiple series videos. So if you ever want to check that out, see what it's like, see what's left, see what's not. It is documented over the years, and it's been a well-received video. People have always wondered, what's that railroad like today? Well, some areas still have tracks, some don't. Some are overgrown and redeveloped, some are not. And directly across is the golf course. So that borders the property here. So we're gonna be following the rails here for a little bit, which is gonna lead us to our next location. And it's a location that I have visited a couple times, both above ground and in the water. It'll make more sense once we do arrive. Now, when I walked this particular section, I did stumble upon something else that I want to return to in the warmer months this year when the water levels are lower, to document it. And I'll show you that once we do get to it. We're going to ride inside the gauge now. Certain sections of this are not in bad shape at all. Rails are still very much in decent condition. Obviously there's a lot of rotted ties, but I've seen some active railroads that look worse than this. So for not being used in nearly 4 decades, it's not that bad at all. Then we're a train here. All right, that brings us to a potential future video. Oh, look at, got a subsidence here. Look at that. That's not good. So if you look through the distance there, which I know it's hard to see, there's water coming through a spillway there. That's a water source that's on the golf course ground. So that's private property, but that is water discharging from there, coming underneath, down below, beneath where we are, and discharging down there. Now when I did document the railroad, I took a peek at it. Down there, it was originally built out of stone. Looks like they modernized it with a corrugated large aluminum pipe. Water's flowing through it pretty good today, but I'm gonna come back in the warmer months when we have a bit of a dry spell, bring my water shoes, and we'll document that, which travels directly beneath us here under the Erie. Another place we're gonna revisit when I do this particular video of this culvert is part of the old Laurel line. We've talked about that. That actually used to run through Rocky Glen. Rocky Glen was one of the stops. Well, the old Laurel line rail bed goes towards Montage Mountain Road. And there is, well, there's a few culverts, I think, but there's one in particular, though, that I did an underwater exploration in. And it's a really cool site, but it got all silted up from me stirring it up. I've always wanted to revisit it, see how it looks, maybe do some snorkeling again, at the very least get you some underwater footage. So I will include that with this location when we do come back. But I do know under the Erie behind me, there's some culverts that we checked out and walked through when I documented Rocky Glen and the Erie. So all this stuff has been covered over the years. I don't expect you to go and search for it, but if you do find the Erie videos or Rocky Glen videos, a lot of the surrounding things were covered in those particular videos. And now we're entering a rock cut area. They drilled and blasted this to put the line through here. The drill marks are still visible today. Yeah, if you look all along the wall, drill marks are right there. So solid rock, they had to blast out of here for this line. The amount of effort they went through to construct a railroad sometimes is mind-boggling. It's a lot more than just laying ballast and ties and rails. We're gonna go back in the gauge here. Rails look a little wonky here, and up here is where it becomes abandoned to active, because part of the Erie serves as a clearing point of a switch for R.J. Corman. We're approaching Route 502 below us, and above us is the Pennsylvania Turnpike. So there's no sheen on the rails. The trains don't come back this far, but I will show you where they potentially can come back to. And we're now on a bridge above 502, below the turnpike. So right where this bridge is here is pretty much the starting stopping point, even though I have seen trains back up onto that bridge to clear a switch. But there are some grooves in the dirt here where a train has come back here and dug in with the flanges of the wheels. So trains don't go past where we came from. They only come back this far to clear a switch, which goes back along the airport, crosses the turnpike, and enters an industrial park, which we've documented as well as part of an old railroad back there. We're across Suskin Road. So this is only a switch clearing area, not a main line, not a branch line. It's simply used to clear switches by R.J. Corman, maybe a couple times a month. Now up ahead is another bridge. Now we're not going to go up there on the bike, but we have been up there before. It'll be much more recognizable from below. We're going to take this detour down here. And here we are. Do you recognize it now? Most of you should. So this is known as the Musk Black Bridge. As I mentioned, RJ Corman does cross this occasionally to clear a switch, but this is more known as a swimming hole because, well, we ourselves came swimming here last year. I made a video before that where we documented this area on foot. We walked all the way down here towards the back, and we found an old camping site in the woods, and the water is much lower then, much quieter too. But we walked this on foot, and we found remnants of a road on the other side over there, which leads up to here. And I didn't know what that was until people told me that was the original road that came through here before the turnpike was put in place. This is actually the road right here. This is a lost, forgotten road, as I'm calling it. But this was a public road where vehicles came through here, and we're gonna follow it to show you where it kind of dead ends right into the turnpike area. So if I show you on the older maps, this road was in existence, and it traveled beneath this bridge, right across the water, and over there on the other side, which is, I thought originally was like a concrete pad for a building, and viewers were like, no, that was an old road that was taken out by the turnpike. Now, aside from that, I did do some snorkeling here, some underwater investigations, made a new friend when I was here, and this is a fantastic swimming hole. The water right down there is about, I'd say 12 to 15 feet deep. And I actually jumped off from the lower level there, but I've seen people jump from the top of the bridge into there. But there's fish down there, really clean, clear water. I was able to get up to underneath some of the rock crevices, but it's flowing like crazy today. But this is an absolutely amazing place. I actually rode my e-bike down here too, and was able to come down where the water flowing near the right side was dry and exposed. I was able to ride my e-bike all the way to here and get some pictures and do a video. So that's how I did my underwater exploring. I rode my e-bike right down to here. But this was still the Erie. This was wide enough for 2 bridges at one time. You can see there would have been a secondary bridge right next to this one. So a double line at one time. But at least it's still being used to some capacity just by RJ Corman sparingly. But to see a train coming across here is quite a sight. Even more so across the bridge over 502, which I've seen once or twice with my own 2 eyes. I'm like, wow, that's like a sight you hardly ever see. But this was receiving daily traffic back in the day for the Erie and Erie-Lackawanna. Let's get back aboard. We're going to continue this direction, follow this lost, forgotten road that used to exist, and show you what happened to it further up. Now, truth be told, this is my first time being on this road. We've only seen it from the other side and learned about it from the viewers, but I never physically came on this side to walk or ride on this road. So we're doing it together for the first time. And it was made all of concrete, which is still beneath us here. But up here, we got some erosion. And this is what we saw from the other side. So just to kind of explain it better, when I made my initial video here documenting this land, I was walking on foot up to here, and I noticed all this. And again, I thought it was maybe building foundations or walls, but it's not. That's part of the road down there in the water. So it would have came out wider than what it is today, and erosion just ate it away and broke off in chunks and sections. So that's what we're looking at down there. So it's much smaller than what it used to be due to that erosion. But up ahead though, on our left-hand side, is the Pennsylvania Turnpike, Northeast Extension. And that's what eliminated this road. Now I don't know, and maybe some of you watching can confirm or not, if this road was predating Route 502 on the other side. Was this running parallel to that and this was like a side road? Or was this the original road before 502 was built? I don't know that. Maybe you guys watching local to the area could answer that question. But anyways, turnpike right here on our left, up high. Took out this road because the turnpike was built right across it. This road would have kept going straight through in that direction as far as I know. It's a beautiful sight, really loud, but water levels are up quite a bit from all the recent rain and ice and snow melt. Eventually it'll calm down, get back to its normal level. Now I want to return to an area right now as kind of like a little bonus ride. When we were leaving Rocky Glen Park, approaching, well, that's really overhanging, approaching the Erie Railroad, I did notice a trail jetting off in one direction. I don't think I've ever been on it. I'm curious where it goes. So we're gonna head back there, take that trail, and see if it yields any new possible discoveries. And that truck right there, it's pulling out, that's Rocky Glen Road. That's where the park is, just up there. Now, if you were to take this all the way out, it'll take you right out to Montage Mountain Road. This is where we came up from the park, and we're gonna take this detour here and see where it goes. Looks like somebody was down here recently with some tire tracks coming through. Now the great thing is that foliage is not even here yet, so we can see everything pretty visibly. So if something was to be hiding out here, there's a high likelihood we're going to see it. Okay, I do see the lower lot of Rocky Glen off to our right, so we're near that. Okay, so there's a fork here. The right goes to the lower lot. We already know it's there, but there's a lesser worn trail up here to the left, so let's take that one. Really rocky though, gotta just finesse it with the throttle, nice and easy. Okay, rocky. We're making it though. I don't know where this goes. It's almost like it's heading back towards the Erie line. It is so freaking rocky and bumpy, jeez. What is this? Oh, we got a water crossing here. Okay. Oh, I see. So if we were to cross and go up to the left, that's the Erie line up there. We just rode right past there, and I looked down. If we go to the right, that'd be Rocky Glen Road. So this is just a crossing to get you over there in either direction. We don't need to go that way. But what I do see is this is not too far from the culvert. So if you are still watching, which I hope you are, I'll give you a little preview as to what we're going to be coming back to later this year. And here we are. So it's unique because originally it was stone. At some point they inserted that corrugated, really large diameter, either metal or aluminum pipe. Now it's not very long, you know, we could easily walk through it, but I figure since it goes under the Erie and it's not 100% original, not 100% new, it'd be worth documenting. So we're going to include this and the one that I did on the Loreline rail bed a number of years ago in the same day. Maybe even a few more that are under the Erie. So rest assured, we will be back here sometime this summer when it's warm enough and their water levels are a bit calmer. This is a really gorgeous area. A lot of shade, a lot of big trees. Easily ride to it. You got the water source right here. Come here, do an overnighter or make some lunch. It looks really inviting. Since we're here and we got this beautiful flowing water, I'm gonna set you guys down, let you get some sights of it and some sounds for just a few moments.
Take your boots off.
Oh, you know what? I'm noticing something in the woods over here, off to my left. Rode by it before, I didn't even see it. Huh, would you look at that? A building used to be here. Steps going to nowhere. It's a cinder block foundation. Rectangle shape. Now this is not too far from the lower lot of Rocky Glen. Was it part of the park operations? Was it a small family home? Was it something else? I wouldn't even know which direction to go with that, but we do know a structure did exist here one time. Still existing here today. I'd imagine it's probably gone well over 50, 60 years, maybe even over 100 years. So here's that fork that went to the lower lot. Just for curiosity's sake, we'll check it out. Oh, you know what? There's actually a little bridge here. This was deliberate access. So I wonder if this little bridge has something to do with that little building that we just found. Could be a coincidence, maybe not though. But this does enter right into the lower lot. So to the left is Rocky Glen Road, to the right is the lake area. And we can't come to this park and not visit the famous stone couches. Probably my favorite area of the entire park. And just to imagine the stories that these could tell, both when the park was in operation and when it wasn't. But basically the seating here for the lake, taking the sights, taking the shows, the water skiing shows, the duck coming down the hill right here. This was a beautiful spot back in the day. And it's being used today by someone. It's like a little camping area possibly. There's even some love seats here as well. Still surviving from so long ago. I have missed doing adventures like this. This was so much fun. Not only is it great to be out on the e-bike again, but coming back to some of my favorite places. And when you include abandoned railroad tracks, you can't be disappointed with that. That's a surefire win right there. Even though we've documented it before, coming back to see how it is in present day, it's just great to see that they're still surviving. And although they're not going to be there forever, they've been there for nearly 4 decades abandoned, still holding up pretty well. Also, I did meet a viewer, coincidentally. I was getting some B-roll footage on top of the 502 bridge, and I saw a bicyclist coming from the Black Bridge area, and he approached me. He's like, "What's your name?" I said, "What do you think it is?" Kind of a smart ass response, but I think I knew what he was hinting at. He's like, "Is it JP something?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm JPVideos." He goes, "Oh, I watch your stuff all the time." So we got to talking for a good 5 minutes, just talking about the areas and biking and stuff like that. So I didn't catch his name, I don't think. So whoever you are, it's great to meet you. I meet people, viewers especially, in the most random areas, and I didn't expect to see anyone out there today, but I'm not the only one out here enjoying the day on two wheels. By all means, would love to hear your thoughts on what you enjoyed out of today's multi-location adventure, whether it's the brief tour of Rocky Glen Park, seeing what the Erie Lackawanna Railroad tracks look like today, or that lost, forgotten road that was eliminated by the turnpike. I liked all of them, so I don't have a favorite. It was just a great time. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of these. If you do enjoy e-bike adventures, whether it be documenting new rail trails, exploring in the woods, taking random trails, revisiting old locations, I have a lot more than planned. That's all I could say. I have some new places I've never been to before, some places we're going to be revisiting for an update to see how they are in 2026. So if these are not for you, well, that's okay too. I have a lot of other stuff coming out, but if you do enjoy this type of content, not only let me know with a thumbs up in the video, but let me know in the comment section too, because there will be more of them coming out now that spring is pretty much here. Gorgeous day out. I had a blast. Hopefully you did as well. And I want to thank you so very much for coming along. And I want to thank you so very much for coming along for today's exploring adventure as we revisited 3 of my local. And I'd like to thank you so very much for coming along for today's multi-location adventure as we documented 3 familiar sites right here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Take care, everyone. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.